Well, that does it for the Federalist, but we have the first two articles we did today were mere hors d'oeuvres before this amazing entree, this feast that I think is maybe one of the best reading series I've ever come across. I am, of course, talking about the article I found in Slate the other day about a woman who adopted a dog and killed it. So, I mean, you think that might be an exaggeration, but no, that is exactly the article that we're talking about. And I sort of preface this article that, like, okay, I know when we do Dear Prudie or any of like the advice columns to Slate, we always sort of have to preface it by saying, assume that they're all fake letters, that like these aren't real people. This is not a letter to Slate. This is an actual article with a woman putting her name to it of a personal essay. So, I mean, that gives me like, it makes me way less likely. This is not anonymous. This is not like, bedraggled beagle in Butte. This is
the hacker anonymous wrote this article. We are Legion. We kill dogs.
This is a woman writing under her own name in a personal essay in Slate. Again, it must be stressed how she adopted a dog and then killed it. You may think I'm exaggerating, but we're going to get into the article. And I would like to also preface this article by saying that when it was published, if you look at the replies to the author herself on Twitter, the lineup of like blue check media journalists telling her how brave she was for writing this is fairly astonishing.
Also saying like, hey, it happens to all of us. We've all had to put our dog in a microwave.
We have all fantasized about it. This is that's my favorite thing that happens is when someone writes like a fucking insane article. Like, do you remember that Atlantic article that was like, I inherited my mom's slave?
Yeah.
And people are like, this happened to me too. This is so complicated. Like, we all go through it. It's solidarity. Like, what are you talking about? What the fuck? You're insane.
Well, Felix, listen to the headline here. This is the headline is When Bonnie Came Home. Subhead: Just before Christmas, I adopted a 6-year-old beagle. She was adorable and violent. I found a resolution. Many choose, but few acknowledge. So this is everyone's doing it, but no one wants to talk about it.
We've all done it.
Also, keep in mind for this article, she says that the dog was violent. And look, it's a sad fact, but there are a lot of like fucked up violent dogs out there that probably shouldn't be homed, or like it's hard to know what to do with them. But like they shouldn't be given to people, and certainly not families. It's a difficult decision, but like when she describes the violence that this dog is capable of, keep in mind that she is just talking about a beagle and not a pit bull or like a mastiff or something. It's a beagle. It weighs about 10 pounds. How much does a beagle weigh? Like 15 pounds probably.
No, they're a little bigger than that. Probably like 25, 30.
Yeah. Okay, so like, I mean, beagles can be assholes. They are kind of head case dogs. So I don't want to
grumpy.
I don't want to undersell it, but here I just like when she makes a decision to do what she does. I think the fact that it's a beagle she's talking about is a little bit makes it just adds another layer here. So like, look, without further ado, last Christmas morning, I patted my bed, inviting my newly adopted beagle Bonnie to jump up and cuddle. My boyfriend, still under the covers, reached out to pet her soft little head, which was now wedged between us. I turned away to grab my phone, and it happened. A guttural bark followed by a human scream. I whipped around to see my boyfriend's hand covered in blood. Before I could figure out how to help him, he was out the door on his way to urgent care. It was Bonnie's second bite in the week since I adopted her.
Okay. We can already tell her boyfriend is not a man of Thulian might.
No.
You went to urgent care over a beagle bite. I think I found your first problem, lady. Scott will never find the Thulian mysteries.
He's a beagle boy. Like many others last year, I was thrilled to adopt the dog. God damn it. I really hope that this phenomenon is not as widespread as she talks about, but I fear she may be onto something here, especially among the type of people who write and read articles for Slate.com. I was thrilled to adopt a dog during pandemic. The so-called pandemic puppy boom made for what felt like stiff competition at the time. According to one Nielsen survey, pet adoptions between March and July 2020 rose more than 15% from the same stretch in 2019. After a month of filling out applications, I was eventually contacted by an animal shelter in New Jersey. A 6-year-old beagle whose photo melted my heart was ready to meet me. Some friends and I drove down from New York City to pick her up, and when we got out of the car, Bonnie trotted up to me immediately. Timid but curious, she allowed me to scratch one of her velvety ears as she sniffed my jacket. When she leaned into my hands like the beagle I had grown up used to, it seemed meant to be. And then I drew a bead with my laser-guided sight on the crossbow I was holding. It says,
took out my claymore.
A few weeks later, I was sitting on the floor of my kitchen with Bonnie and a new dog trainer. We were working on positive reinforcement training and desensitizing her to triggers like the vacuum, which she'd bitten the night before. Vacuums, along with almost everything else in my apartment and outside of it, terrified Bonnie. I was already familiar with these training messages from a master class I'd seen, in which a celebrity dog trainer assures new pet owners he can help their dogs overcome things like accidents in the house, excessive barking, and digging in the yard. At the beginning of each video lesson, an intro sequence plays. There are no untrainable dogs, he asserts, only untrainable people. I just like your
kind of right here.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like I just like it's just sort of the glimpse into like, you know, should I adopt a dog or not? Well, I watched several TED Talks about it, and I noticed that everyone else was doing it, so I thought, hey, a lot of stiff competition out there. Let me check the data.
Yeah, and I do want to say, I do, like, in some abstract sense, I feel bad for it because it's like the shelter was like, apparently they were like, oh, this is like a chill dog. He's like most beagles, and that he's been bred to not be able to stand up for more than a combined 10 minutes a day. And then it just like, you know, he's clearly traumatized.
Sometimes you get a lemon.
Like, yeah, sometimes you get a mean dog. But the choice to write about this is insane.
Okay,
the choice to tell people about it is insane.
As the article goes on, like this will get more pronounced, but like this to me is like, look, I'd like to think that I wouldn't kill an otherwise healthy animal just because it was annoying me, but you know, sometimes it's either you or them. You know, a bad pet can really fuck up your life, and sometimes, you know, if you got to do what you got to do, just don't tell anyone about it.
Yeah,
like, it's insane enough. Why are you telling
to be validated?
Oh my, yeah.
Like sometimes there's shitty things that you have to do, and then part of the shittiness is that you have to live with it on its own terms. You don't get to have a therapeutic compensated public confession where, you know, like clockwork, every blue check psychopath on earth is going to tell you how brave you are and how you did the right thing.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
It's like you can't just.
And I do think like it really was like this woman and her boyfriend or the dog. Like I do think this was a life and death situation for them. Knowing that the boyfriend instantly went to urgent care after one bite is like, okay, yeah, that dog would have eventually probably killed them if she's, you know, telling the full unvarnished truth here. But like, again, couldn't you just write an article that's like, you know, I have separation and anxiety from WandaVision not being on TV anymore. Can't you just write that article? You have to write the dog killing article.
Well, no, I mean that's exactly right. It's like you can't just live with the choice and like feeling bad about it, even though you're like, hey, I had to do what I had to do. You have to share it with everyone in the expectation that they're going to tell you how brave you are and how good your decision was for fucking. All right, let's just go further into it.
That's how our creative media class is dealing with living at this wheezing, dying empire. Is, well, we have no real practical imagined way to fix any of this stuff, and frankly our material conditions would not benefit by any radical change, but we can publicly feel bad about it, and that
there you go
consecrates our position, because, you know, would you want somebody who didn't feel bad about it enjoying this sinecure? I bet you wouldn't.
Same time though, better writer than
Kelly Zempel, for sure.
Kelly Zempler.
Kelly Zempel used the word "however" about 3 times in the course of one clause, and then used the made up word "spendy" to talking about how a burrito is going to break her budget. So yeah,
this woman, in the market of ideas, in the market of writing, this woman is like, she's bringing a lot more value.
Well, I mean, I think the difference between a Slate.com writer and a Federalist writer is that the Slate.com writers have learned how to, because it's their stock and trade, do a simulation of empathy and demonstrate it, whereas Federalist writers have no such compunction whatsoever. And in fact, it's quite the opposite, like works to their advantage. It's like the less empathy you're capable of showing, the more useful you are to them, because then you can write things about how low-skilled teens don't deserve a living wage.
Yeah, like this woman, okay, so this Slate writer, this is like her insane perversion is that she has to tell people about this. Like, that she did it, it's like in some ways I can kind of understand it. I still don't like.
Just to be clear, I don't endorse. I don't endorse her decision.
I don't like. I don't think you should go about it that way. I think it deserves some more time. But it's like in some scenarios, I get it. Maybe her perversion is clearly like writing about it. The Federalist writer, her perversion is doing this. She's probably like adopted 40 dogs just to kill them.
I was imagining someone just pulling up to the dog shelter every week. He's like, need something new. Give me the usual. They're like,
can you get me something that lasts this time?
So she continues here. Bonnie had sunken her teeth into my hand during my first full day with her. I'd reached out while she was licking my leg, unaware I'd crossed the boundary. Well, I mean, okay. I mean, did no one ever tell you that you have to like stick your hand out like under a dog's nose before like you do anything? It just seems to me like nobody's really clued her into like certain things. Like you can't just like do it when you meet a dog for a first time, just like reach out and grab it. They tend to get a little skittish about these sort of things. You have to like sort of, you have to show a sort of like a submission. Hold your hand out, let them smell you. Let them get, know your name and in a dog sense is when they smell you. So, I mean, it's true. Like, I think the dog was probably a basket case too, but, dogs are very intuitive. They pick up a lot from the people that they're around. So she goes here, when I explained this to the trainer, she reasoned Bonnie needed time and space to adjust to her new home. Still, I couldn't shake feeling guilty as if I'd done something wrong. When friends and colleagues asked me, I just couldn't shake the guilty feeling as if I'd done something wrong. When friends and colleagues asked me about my new dog, I only half lied. I said she was doing great, and when I tilted my webcam toward her during Zoom calls, I made sure my swollen, scabbing hand wasn't visible on the screen. After all, it was true that she had happily lounged next to me all day while I typed words into my laptop. And that when I sat cross-legged on the floor, she'd come and curl up in my lap, her tail thumping against my legs. As I posted videos of Bonnie gently snoring on Instagram, I didn't mention she was wiped out from a day of gnawing on her own paws so much that they bled. I convinced
Okay. How much would this woman play with the dog? Because, like, dogs, even beagles, need enrichment or they go fucking crazy.
Especially beagles.
If you're treating a cat can kind of, you got to give a cat some toys and you can play with it sometimes, but the cat mostly makes their own enrichment.
I mean, honestly, cats, like I think these people like need to just be told, if you're thinking of adopting a pet, adopt a cat and not a dog.
Yeah. This one was treating her dog like a cat because there was nothing in here that's like, oh, I was playing fetch. I like got this new toy for. If it's gnawing on its paws, it's telling you like I need to do something. I'm going fucking crazy here. She stuck this dog in like a 1-bedroom morgue slot with her and her hemophiliac boyfriend, and is like, oh, "What the fuck? My dog. She's anxious and fucked up."
And if the dog is,
well, yeah, of course she is.
Well, if the dog is bored and anxious, you can like they like smoking weed too. I mean, that's what helps with my boredom and anxiety. So she never even tried the bong hit method.
Yeah. Dogs love it when you blow weed smoke in their ears. That's how they get high.
Don't do that. Dude, I do not endorse doing that.
This is a warning. Do not do that.
It's a joke. Yeah. So it says,
it's not true.
I convinced myself that she just needed more training, that I could help her if I only worked hard enough. The daily dog anxiety meds came next, though they did little to make my otherwise healthy pup less afraid. And despite practicing those desensitization tactics every day, Bonnie regressed, lunging at perceived threats on the street like joggers, other dogs, and squealing kids. One night...
Because you have her in solitary. Like, it's like, this is so... Okay, I started out like, okay, I understand. And now it's like, okay, so we instantly went to therapy and medication for this fucking dog. Not like, oh, she needs like a more complex toy or like games or attention.
How about you try tiring her out by taking her to the fucking park a couple times a day? But no, I just need something to sit next to me while I type into my laptop and just sort of like look adoringly at me. I mean, that's what this woman wants.
Yeah.
So that's what you have a boyfriend for. She goes,
well, the boyfriend is like, he's not long for this earth.
No.
He's going to like, a hummingbird's going to fly into him and he's going to die from blood loss.
One night before bed, while she was squatting to pee beside a tree, she bolted at a man strolling up to us on the sidewalk. Before I could react, she chomped into his calf, his pant leg, in her teeth as she tried to pull it away. Why wasn't she on a fucking leash? How did this happen? How did she just bolt for a man walking down the street and chomp into his calf muscle? What? don't you?
If the beagle got out of a leash, it's like these are like. Are her and her boyfriend like skeletons? Like, how are they so routinely overpowered by this beagle?
To my surprise, the man brushed off the incident. I did not. From that night on, each time I bent over to pet Bonnie or sat down for a belly rub, I monitored her every move. Any sudden shift, and I'd pull away, flinching. Yeah, hard to imagine why this dog has anxiety. The trainer came back a few days later. Bonnie bit her too. With each incident, there was no growling, no toothy snarling, no indicators that she would pounce. There are no untrainable dogs, I thought, only untrainable people. I became adept at fastening her muzzle on in a matter of seconds, which I now had to do anytime we stepped beyond my door. Each time we came back inside, I tried to feel relief when nothing bad happened. I never did. Months of failing to exhale helped me decide I should find Bonnie a new place to live. Maybe city life didn't agree with her, I reasoned, and a quiet existence in the suburbs is what she needed. Oh, yes, that is what Bonnie needs, a quiet existence on a nice farm upstate.
Yeah.
So it goes here. I knew that my safety and the safety of my neighbors, I couldn't continue to manage her behavior. I never was able to anticipate what would set her off, and there was no way to control her environment on the streets of New York. But I soon learned that the shelter where Bonnie came from wouldn't help me. A volunteer explained that Bonnie was too dangerous to adopt out again, and their affiliated sanctuaries, including several beagle-specific rescues, declined to take her. Another dog rescue organization in New York City told me that her bite history, 7 bites at the time, though that number would grow, was too extensive for her to qualify for a special rehabilitation program. Both conversations ended on the same topic: behavioral euthanasia. I
love a story. I love a story where there are no heroes.
Yeah.
There are no heroes in this story.
I was dumbfounded to discover you could call a vet's office and ask them to do that. Suddenly, my new quest to help Bonnie get better, I'd become the decider of her fate. Well, you know what? The thing is, when you chose to adopt her in the first place, you did, in fact, become decider of her fate. And that's in fact, when you adopt an animal, that's what you're committing to when you take them into your home from any of the agency that rescued them. You are indeed becoming the sole arbiter of their fate. So maybe consider that before you adopt a pet. Or just adopt a cat, which basically you don't have to take care of.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
That's what she wanted. She should have gotten a fucking cat. You get 2 cats, like, again, they do their own enrichment. They have some bizarre thing where they like looking at each other and then like kissing.
Yeah, what they're looking at is the souls of dead people that still inhabit this planet.
Yeah.
Or they're doing the universal cat consciousness swap program where they're like, oh, my shift in
my shift in Istanbul.
My shift in Wellington begins in an hour. I got to get over there.
Yeah.
I got to go to sleep.
Did we talk about this on a show?
Yeah, we did.
Cat theory?
We did. We talked about the cat theory. So it goes here. Almost nobody willingly adopts a biting dog, and concealing a history of aggressive behavior is likely how I ended up with mine. So, like, yeah, it is true. It does seem like the rescue agency did behave unethically in giving her this dog in the first place. But she says, I'd put a post up on a private rehoming site for her anyway, making sure to disclose her history and special needs. I explained she preferred women over men, couldn't be around children, and needed to be muzzled on walks and around visitors. Perhaps a single female hermit in a rural area would be opening to managing her behavior for the next decade or so. I held out hope for a while, but never received any adoption inquiries. And as her bite count continued to grow, so did my desire to stop living with a dangerous animal. I could feel my heart beating out of my chest every time we got ready to go outside, fearing for the worst for our walk. I only left my apartment without her once per week so I could buy groceries. This way, she wouldn't get nervous about being alone. She'd lash out when I returned. I tiptoed around my 2-room home each day, hoping I wouldn't cross any invisible boundaries. I just love the idea of this woman just like living in absolute fear in her apartment of her beagle.
Yeah,
it's just like,
this is like this is like a brave confessional article, but this is really funny.
This is what Kathy Griffin felt like when Yashar was in her house for fucking 9 months. So it goes here. Even if I did somehow find someone to take Bonnie, I wondered whether it would just exacerbate her already crippling anxieties. As the week went by and no new options appeared, I realized I had a choice. I could send her off with a stranger one day, someone she would certainly injure and who would perhaps end up euthanizing her anyway, or I could allow her to leave this terrifying world peacefully with someone she loves. That is such a good way to rationalize it. It's just, the world is just too difficult for Bonnie and for me. So I'm just going to give her the
She's-
choice to leave it with someone who truly loves her.
She's like Kevin in Sin City.
So it goes here. Behavioral euthanasia is not a decision made out of convenience. No, guess not. Typically, it enters a conversation once the safety situation with a dog, cat, or other animal deteriorates beyond an acceptable level of risk, said Christopher Patchell, a veterinary behaviorist with instinct dog behavior and training. There isn't a universal approach to every situation. Often, if the police aren't involved, it's up to the pet owner to decide what level of risk they can live with. If you're the one who finds yourself in a situation where you're actively considering it, choosing to rehome is hard. Choosing to push forward with a treatment when you know it's unsafe is hard. Choosing to make significant accommodations to make it safe, even though it's not easy, that's hard. Choosing to euthanize is hard, Patchell told me. There's no easy way out of that difficult situation. But what we're ultimately having to do is say, which of these hards makes the most sense for me? I desperately wish someone could come and assess my personal level of risk. I've got
Okay, that's the new. That is.
I've got a great idea. I've got a great idea for a new business.
This is a new job. This is a new boutique service for anxious urbanites. Someone who can come and say, "I hereby give you permission to kill your dog."
Yep. No, I will do the canine risk assessment. And actually, Branson, he was writing about this article. He said like there should be like a boutique assassination service where they just take care of it for you anonymously. It's just one shot from 400 meters away. The dog is down. It's over. You can just say, someone assassinated my dog. I don't know what happened. And, if you're a dog assassin, most dog assassins don't work for the FBI, unlike human assassins. So you could, go on the dark web. Just go on Craigslist. Just take out a contract on Bonnie. It's no problem. You don't have to write an article about it. So it goes here, I desperately wish someone could come and assess my personal level of risk, something only I could do. It was an excruciatingly lonely decision to make, but when I turned things over in my head, I came up with this. In a comfortable and loving home, Bonnie was always on the defense, even in the calmest of situations. When it came down to it, her quality of life was poor. I couldn't envision her feeling safe in any situation, no matter how rural the home, no matter how many triggers are eliminated. To prevent her from harming herself or anyone else again, I chose behavioral euthanasia. I love the idea that the dog is going to self-harm. No, this is only you and your boyfriend's hands that you're worried about here. It's not the dog is at no risk of hurting herself. On the phone, I wept quietly as I made Bonnie's appointment, taking shallow breaths as the receptionist instructed me to make sure she was wearing her muzzle when we arrived. Bonnie's last day came sooner than expected. On a quiet Sunday morning, while I pet her on the floor, she inexplicably snapped at my face. Though her mouth clamped down hard around my boyfriend's forearm instead of my cheek, when he jumped up, she held on, piercing deep wounds in his arm and a hole in his sweatshirt. She scampered away from us afterward, head down, trembling. I was so stricken with fear that I didn't realize I was also trembling, forgetting to breathe. It was then that I knew for certain I could not continue living with Bonnie any longer. I tossed her one of her favorite bones to calm her down. I called to reschedule her appointment to that afternoon, ordered an Uber, and put her muzzle on for the last time. Then I hugged her for a while, still too shaken to cry. In the Uber, Bonnie, who preferred to sit in my lap during car rides, looked out the window, sweetly unaware. When we arrived, Bonnie started trembling again. We were shown to a small waiting area, and a staffer at the animal care shelter approached us to tell me she understood how hard this was and that she supported my decision. I would have expressed more gratitude if I'd been able to do more than mumble. I'd been warned I wouldn't be allowed in the room with Bonnie during the procedure because of COVID protocols. But instead of saying goodbye in the car like they'd asked, I'd explained that Bonnie was petrified of the vet, and I insisted I walk her to the exam room so her last moments wouldn't involve resisting a stranger. In a few minutes, I was led down a hallway. I coaxed Bonnie to follow. A staffer showed me to the room Bonnie needed to enter. I gave Bonnie one last pat, then handed her Kelly green leash to a tall man in scrubs and a mask. As he shut the door behind me, I heard Bonnie whine, a protest to being separated from me. I'm shattered when I think back to that moment, but at the time, everything was blank. In the days after Bonnie was put down, I roamed my newly empty home like a zombie. I didn't sleep much, and when I did, I was startled to awake by nightmares of being bitten. Crushed with guilt, I wondered if there was more I could have done to help my sweet beagle. I didn't tell most people what happened. What if they thought I was a monster for not trying hard enough? Well, you solved that problem. Good thing you don't have to worry about that anymore. Instead, I made a post on Instagram so I wouldn't have to talk to the people who had been gushing over Bonnie. Rather than detail her situation, I explained she had an illness that went undiagnosed before I adopted her, and that I had to say goodbye. She was sick, just in a way that was impossible for most people to see. I used that to help myself cope. So, folks, I mean, this is it. When you adopt a dog for Instagram, people are going to ask questions when they stop appearing on your stories. So come up with a good backstory, hence the dog assassination agency.
I like to compare this to the Russians who we follow on Instagram who are like, yeah, these two raccoons just started showing up in my bedroom, and it's been 3 years, and we've learned to get along. Like, all the people who have sables, these sharp little bear tubes who fly all over the place and, like, learn how to deal with it. And then this woman and her beagle.
Not long afterward, my browser tab, still comprising dog behavior Reddit threads and news stories about Major Biden's biting incidents. By the way, how is Major these days? He's doing good? He doesn't have any undiagnosed illnesses that need to be explained after the fact?
Do you think
They're
Joe?
dissecting him in Area 51?
Do you think Joe was like tried to give Major as a gift to the Queen? Here, man, it's a perfectly good dog, man.
He loves being outside. You got plenty of land.
It just kills her instantly.
just chomps down on the throat and starts just shredding, just whipping the head back and forth.
Yeah, he picks her up by the neck and just snaps it. Yeah, blood everywhere. No one could have seen this coming, man.
Yeah, I mean,
he was a great woman.
He's a great dog. He's a great dog. Reminded me of great mom. Reminded me of my mom, which is also killed by a pack of dogs. So he goes, I came across Losing Lulu. It's a Facebook support group for pet owners who have had to make the difficult choice to opt for behavioral euthanasia. If love was enough, you'd still be here, reads the group's cover photo in bubble letters.
I have a new group I'm joining. Oh, man.
I later learned that Losing Lulu was founded in 2019 by dog trainers Trish McMillan and Sue Alexander. Yeah, dog trainers? More like dog killers. Since then, it's amassed more than 10,000 members and sees around a dozen new posts per day. Folks,
10,000 people have done this in the last year.
It's the hottest new trend. It's called killing your dog. Sometimes love isn't enough.
There's a fucking support group for this.
Next thing, you're going to have TikToks with women in huge suburban kitchens just putting a guillotine on their kitchen island.
You know what's... This all really goes back to the first thing because, like, this is the Democratic base. Is like members of saying goodbye to Lulu.
Like, and you know what? Like, I mean, maybe this is... Look, maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I'm pushing this a little too far. But if we think of it along that lines and all of the, like, you know, like just loud congratulations that this woman got and how necessary and brave this was for her to admit, do you not see, like, that perhaps that this is, I don't know, a rehearsal for how these people think other sort of intractable, shall we say, problems in our society can be solved?
Oh, no, yeah, this is going to be the solution to the homeless issue.
Yeah.
It'll be like, because it keeps getting pushed farther and farther. It went from, like, we should have government housing to, like, they should be allowed to eat trash and sleep outside. That's, like, the humanitarian position. And now it's going to be, like, 10 years from now, it will be, like, Republicans are like, we should draft bigger homeless people to form a homeless chariot that chases other homeless people and beheads them. And liberals will be like, we should just give them a shot.
Yeah.
We should just kill them instantly. Yeah. It's more humane.
It's just sort of like, the world is too tough for them. We need to give them a humane exit.
A loving way out.
I'm wondering if, like, ritually killing your dog is what you do when you don't have the net worth to get invited to the islands and subterranean adrenochrome parties of the ultra wealthy.
Yeah, it's like a striver thing.
Yeah. Like, one of these days, this is going to be an infant, but for now, it's just going to have to settle for a chihuahua.
Yeah, I'm just imagining. My family could tell I was ambitious when I was a little kid because I wanted a Pomeranian to kill.
I'm just loving the idea of, like, a Facebook group for, like, people have had to, find a solution to the problem of the lovable neighborhood tramp. It's called like losing Whistle Stop Willie.
Yeah.
So it goes on here. It says here, named for Lulu, a foster dog Macmillan euthanized. The group was founded by Alexander and Macmillan for people who experienced a profound loss that was ultimately of their choosing. When I found the group, I suddenly felt less alone. I think it is really hard to find a corner of the internet where people are not cruel. Well, I'm certainly not this corner of the internet. This is only for cruel people. This is only for the cruel and sadistic. Especially when you're talking about high-stakes events like euthanizing an animal for behavior, said Macmillan, a certified dog behavior consultant with a master's degree in animal behavior. Still, members are often cruel to themselves. The self-chastisement people including their posts stuns Alexander. There's a cultural component, she said, that suggests that an animal's behavior is your fault. It's one that I'm very familiar with. You go on TV and there is a dog trainer who can fix any problem in 23 minutes with commercial breaks, Macmillan said. So we have this idea that anything can be fixed. And I thought that too when I started off in shelters and when I started off as a trainer. In my own post in the group, I described how much I loved Bonnie and how I could never anticipate when she'd strike. Like others, I listed out the what-ifs that lingered. What if I'd tried a different trainer? What if I'd moved to the country with her? Dozens of comments poured in expressing that support and sympathy. Curiously, no question was asked, what if I just tried to rehome her for like another couple months?
Or like, why did I make this dog live in a 2-room apartment? Like, that's just sort of glossed over. This dog was in solitary. Maybe you can get used to it if you're on the computer all damn day. But like the dog? No, you can't have a dog in a fucking tiny 2-room apartment.
I mean,
sorry.
There are dogs that are good for city living, like Great Danes or something that just like sleep 16 hours a day, take one giant shit, and then just come back. Like, it depends on the breed. But beagles are a very active, kind of brainy and neurotic breed. They need a lot of attention and a lot of fucking.
But even like those low energy dogs, like 2 rooms, like, come on, man. I'm sorry. Like, I know that it's like, in my ideal world, everyone would have a bigger place and everyone could, get one if they want. But like, I'm sorry, if you live there, you shouldn't get a dog. It's not good for them. It's not good for you.
I don't know. I mean, it all depends. There's a lot of good city dogs. There's a lot of good city dog owners. I think it all just depends on the dog. And, Bonnie, I'm sorry, she had to go. There's nothing. Look,
she was very nasty.
Look. They called losing Lulu, and they were like, there was a problem. Nothing could be done, and she's gone now. Because here, there are dog lovers who maintain that you should never euthanize a healthy dog for any reason. Yeah, there's a few people like that.
You could put me in that group of extremists.
I know, because before I adopted Bonnie, I was one of them. It almost makes me tear up a little bit just thinking about the number of clients I've had in that situation who have just broken down in my office or on a Zoom call saying, I was the person who said I would never do this, Patchell said. Well,
this woman's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, no, I love her.
This woman's awesome.
She's the best person in this article.
I said there are no heroes in this. No, this is the hero. The woman who's like a priestess for the dog killing religion.
Yeah.
I love her. I love my clients, like people who come to me and are like, I want to kill my dog, but I would feel too bad. And she's like, no, you should do it. I love her. What do you think? Okay, you know how when you like make a political donation or some things, you have to like list your occupation. What do you think she puts?
A dog trainer.
Yeah, trainer, yeah. And escort to the afterlife.
And there's always going to be something else to try. Alexander and Macmillan told me there will always be one more trainer, one more behaviorist, one more medication. Alexander often tells her clients, you need to try everything that's reasonable for you, not everything. I thought if I loved Bonnie enough...
Well, then don't get a fucking dog. Like, if it's too much, don't fucking get one.
By the way, you should be able to do this for adopted children as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're fucked up. What do you want? What do you want from me? I can say that I am adopted, and I currently.
Would your parents have considered doing this?
No, I was very good. My sister and I were very good kids, but
that's good.
It's just yes, you should try everything reasonable within your power to love the child you adopted. But let's not go crazy here, okay?
Yeah, you have to give yourself permission to stand up for yourself.
Because I thought if I loved Bonnie enough, trained her enough, helped her feel safe enough, she would get better. But like losing Lulu's tagline reads, love alone isn't enough to cure an aggressive animal living in fear. I think the Lulus are the most loved pets of all, Alexander said.
Oh my
Trying is
God.
hard, but I think to stop trying is much harder. Dude, this is great. This is a boutique excuse service for people who get rid of their fucking pet.
This is literally, she's starting a new religion where you just kill dog. Like, communion is killing a dog. I love her. I'm obsessed with her. I want, a lot of people are like, I want to smoke a blunt with this bitch. No, we do. The dog killing priestess is awesome. We love her.
Sometime after
I hope she shows up in a flowing robe and just a fucking necklace of Chihuahua skulls around her neck.
I love that these are the most loved animals of all.
Actually, killing your dog is the highest honor you could pay it.
See, you know what I love about the dog killing priestess is that like she has like the personality and like values of like a Babylonian warlord.
Yeah.
But she just had to be born like now and live in like some like bullshit like blue city and have some like liberal job, and it's like, how do I transpose that personality onto this world and this set of values? And she found a way.
The last two paragraphs here. Sometime after I said goodbye to Bonnie, I took a trip to my parents' house in Massachusetts. After months of pandemic separation, I was reunited with my family and our dog, Lady, a goofy 10-year-old beagle. Oh, Lady, if only you knew. It's just like, as soon as she steps into the house, it's like the fucking Terminator vision just zeroes in on Lady. Just out of the wait. Your beagle, give them to me.
Your foster dog is dead.
Wolfie's fine. Bonnie's fine. When I stopped through the front door, the click, click, click of her nails on the tile floor sent me into a panic. Unaware of my newfound fear, she lazily plopped down by my side, her face much grayer and body much rounder than Bonnie's. Well, I mean, look, wait, her face is gray and she's round? wait, her family let Lady get gray and fat? Time to go. Sorry, no, this is no good.
Doesn't love that dog enough.
This is no good.
I need to get them a curved sword from the dog killing church.
Oh man. I stooped over to pet her, and though I'd known Lady since she was a puppy, marveled at how gentle she was. My heart rate slowed and something clicked. Lady was a healthy dog. Clearly, Bonnie was not. I couldn't possibly picture her acting so carefree. I miss Bonnie dearly and desperately wish I could have watched her dart around my parents' backyard. But there's solace in knowing she isn't afraid anymore. Yeah, she's not anything anymore. She's nothing now.
You took her fear away.
So there we go.
God.
The dog killing habits of the upper middle class. Thank you so much, Slate.com. You never fail to come through.
I want to subscribe to them just for everything they've given us. Like, they've been feeding us content for like years now. I love them. And we should put a link in the description if you want to join the dog killing religion, if you think it's right for you.
Yeah, they're accepting new members.
Next live show, we will let the dog killing church table the venue. Sorry, DSA. There's a new way forward.
But you know what? Like, I mean, what's so stunning to me about this article is like A, that she wrote it in the first place, which is like astonishing to me. B, that so many people would congratulate her on how brave she is. But like, look, taking the story at face value, like, sometimes the dog's fucked up. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, and if you can't live with it, like, I don't know, either you just like push it out of your car upstate and go, you're free now, or you take it to the vet. I mean, it's a terrible thing to do. But like, at no point in this article is she like, and this is why you should like not adopt dogs on a whim. At no point is there like a lesson learned here at all. The only lesson she learned is that she loved her dog too much to allow it to keep living. That's the lesson. It's not. Yeah, it's not like like really consider before you get in a dog, and like and get one that like or a responsible rescue agency will give you like a week to like a sort of like a a trial period, or like just make sure that the dog fits your lifestyle. Like, don't adopt a hyperactive dog if you don't lead a hyperactive lifestyle. Don't adopt like a really energetic dog or a really big dog if you live in the fucking city. I don't know what to say about that, but I think one thing is sure. The lady did nothing wrong, and shouldn't feel guilty at all.
Absolutely.
Especially not writing the article. That was the least questionable thing about all of this.
It's like the BTK killer sending letters to the cops.
Yeah.
How did I get caught? Well, you wrote the article on Slate.com, lady. I don't know what to tell you.
All right. I gotta go. I gotta go study
we
the dog killing Torah for my dog killing bar mitzvah.
All right, well, we went
Finally become a man.
We went long today. That's 3 full reading series for you, but none as good as The Power of the Dog.